And Microsoft has filed an EU, that's European Union, complaint over Motorola Mobility. Oh, I do love it when tech companies fight. And George Stahl is here to tell us all about the fight this time. I'm excellent. I need some popcorn to watch this. So tell me how exciting this is.
Well, this is Microsoft saying that Motorola is charging too much for patents that relate to wireless access to devices, stuff that you might see that might affect Microsoft's laptops or its Xbox consoles.
So let me put this another way. Microsoft wants to spend less on the parts and components than the things that go into its own products. But of course, I'd like to pay less for my lunch too. Can I sue the EU for the components of the sandwiches over the road being too expensive?
It depends on who you ask.
Oh, okay.
All right, that's a good answer.
This all falls under what are considered FRAND patents. That's what they're called. Fair, reasonable, and non-discriminatory terms. And the standard bodies want the companies that own the rights to these patents that are considered essential to many companies to charge a fee that is reasonable and fair, not to gouge people. And the fear here is from Microsoft is that Motorola, which is being bought by Google, a big competitor to Microsoft, may leverage these patents in a way that could be a real headache to Microsoft. Interestingly, Apple made the same complaint to Motorola about Motorola recently too, also alleging that Motorola is charging too much for these patents. All this comes as Google is getting closer and closer to buying Motorola. So I believe what you're seeing here is Microsoft and Apple sort of just protecting their turf, making sure that as Google merges and buys Motorola, that they don't start using those newfound patents in ways that could really hurt Apple and Microsoft.
What do you think of this? Is this just pettiness, or is this real?
No, I don't think it's pettiness. I think it's a legitimate. I mean, there's some serious angling going on here. I mean, this is part of the whole. Grand scorecard, the great game over wireless patents. I mean, how many different cross-purpose lawsuits do we have in the industry? We must have hundreds by this point. But the other thing that's getting me is that we're starting to hear chatter about Motorola, perhaps Google basically taking hardware off and basically becoming the only manufacturer of Android hardware. I don't think Google has made any noise about that, but we're starting to hear Meg Whitman at HP specifically talk about that recently.
Yeah, I mean, that is the fear with the whole Motorola buy from other people who make Android products, is that Motorola is either at least going to get favorable treatment with Android, or Google may use Motorola in a way that hurts the Samsungs and Hewlett Packards and the other makers of Android products.
So the thing that I find confusing here, and I think a lot of people are going to find confusing here, is you buy a company for its products so you can compete with them in the marketplace against your competitors, right? Right. That's what you want to do. You buy a pair of boxing gloves and you want to box the hell out of, your competitors. And then you find, everyone's, oh no, you can't do that. You can't do that. I'm going to the courts. When is a property right a property right? Is it? I mean, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
What is the value? What is the value in buying a company when you can't use the products for what they were intended? Which is presumably bashing the brains of your competitors out.
Right, and that's why it all goes back to the original question of, it depends on who you ask what is a fair and reasonable price for these patents. And I think this is just one pawn, though, in a larger battle between what ecosystem is going to rule mobile. Is it going to be iOS? Is it going to be Android? Or is it going to be the up-and-comer Windows phone?
Windows phone.
Whenever that comes.
Yeah. I'm setting my watch for that.
So I guess this fight's going to go on, right? This is just going to continue.
Yes.
This is just one stroke. How quickly do you think this gets resolved, or does this really never get resolved?
I'm not sure it ever gets resolved because I think the fight will just transform into other battles. I mean, these guys meaning Google, Apple, and Microsoft, are all competing against each other on various arenas and in various spaces. So this is just one side battle into a bigger battle among the three. But the reality is there's probably enough room. There's definitely enough room for Google and Apple. It remains to be seen whether Microsoft can work its way into the picture.
This is the least attractive part of the tech world to me. It's like gadgets great, lawyers not so much. Not so much, and they're terrible. Anyway, thank you very much, George Stahl of Dow Jones News Wires. Catch the rest of that story on WSJ.